The third-party outsourcing trend will continue to grow in the near future. And that puts third-party risk management is a major concern and should be a major effort in your organization today. And depending on what the statistics you read today, anywhere between 39 to 63% of breaches are caused by third party. One of the most notorious one being the Target. The Target breach that an HVAC vendor got the credentials compromised, stolen, and in short, got stolen. And with that, the attackers were able to steal around 40 million credit card and debit card numbers and about 70 million of personal information from their customers. That is a huge risk to any organization, right? So what are you going to do about it on that? What process you're going to put in place? The HVAC vendor would be one of the vendors that would be on your list of concerns. Well, here is where the whole program would have to start, is how you define third-party access, third-party containing that information for your organization. And we have been talking in the past, the vendors containing your critical information from your critical systems. Well, HVAC does not fit that profile, if you will. However, the vendor, because of IoT system, right, Internet of Things, and the connectivity of these systems now are highly integrated to the organization, to the data centers. Meaning that if the HVAC vendor has remote access to provide maintenance to your systems, regardless right now, right? HVAC is just an example, but anything on smart buildings, you will have to do a vendor review because they will have access to a portion of your network and perhaps find a way to move laterally across your network. So not only they have and maintain or generate information that is critical to your organization, to the mission, business, and vision of your organization, and service of the organization for that matter, but also has access to your network. So you have that as a baseline, as a trigger to perform a risk management or risk assessment on that vendor would be something to start with. But however, where you start is it begins at the contract level. All right, you need to negotiate what is in the contract is allowed, what is not. It's not allowed. It's that simple. Do you have a clause, a cybersecurity clause in there? You have an audit clause in there that allows you to perform those functions. Is a short-term contract, which is a 10, 15-year contract. When can you amend that contract? Will the amendment of that contract raise the price of your services and so forth? There's a lot that needs to be taken into consideration, but that is part of a vendor risk management program. So how you manage that? So how you even start managing that risk? Well, if it is in a contract or not a contract, okay, that has to be decided. But once you have determined that, the next step, you need to perform a sort of a mixed method assessment, a mixed methodology type of assessment. It's quantitative and qualitative. There are a lot out there, right, that addresses this. Actually, it's a topic of many books, of many research papers on how would you assess this. But usually the answer is always in the middle, right? Purely quantitative, purely qualitative will get you in trouble to a degree. Having a good mix in between of qualitative and questionnaire and quantitative, collecting evidence to validate what you ask for, is probably the right approach for any organization. And that needs to be based, that questionnaire, that assessment needs to be based on something that is the industry recognized, such as a NIST cybersecurity framework or an ISO 27001. The advantage of ISO 27001 is that you may have some of the work already done for you because it aligns strongly to the cybersecurity framework. Not only that is, if the company is certified, that means a third-party certification company came in and did the assessment for you. So that is something that you should be considering. On that same thought, not every type of certification or third-party assessment that you can leverage, such as SOC 2, SOX 2 is the Service Organization Control 2. SOC 2 varies by organization and varies immensely by organization, sometimes not even addressing the cybersecurity controls that you or your organization deem important. So you need to be consider that as well. And once that assessment is done, you will work with the vendor in trying to mitigate the findings. Now, the vendor and the contract may say, well, I don't have to mitigate. I understand the assessment. Well, I will not mitigate because it's not in the best value or return of investment at this point for us, or whatever the reason may be. So whatever that can be mitigated, great. Whatever is not, it has to be entered into a standard exception program or a vendor exception program, because someone need to sign off on that risk. Awareness need to be raised that that vendor may have a particular risk to your organization, and somebody needs to sign off on that. Or even worse, right? The risk is too much based on the work that organization is providing to you, that you decide to choose another vendor. So it could be either or, but you need to make sure that the responsibility of the business and doing business with that organization is taken into account.